every year it's the same shit. It's the same song and dance every year. I'm at a holiday gathering, just really trying my best to talk about just normal shit. And usually I'm doing okay. I'm doing all right. But then someone will be like, oh, let's put on a Christmas movie. It'll be fun. But no one can decide. And God help me if I even have to hear another Hallmark movie title, let alone watch one. So I bring up Die Hard. And let me tell you, buddy, the vibe from here on out is absolutely ruined. Greetings, fellow humans, and welcome back to another video where I'm almost for sure gonna get, actually-ed. Yeah, okay. Look, I don't know when the question first got asked, or who asked it, but I'm pretty sure we've all heard it. And with this new holiday movie, Carry On, making the rounds and waves on Netflix, it's once again time to ask, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? Every year it almost always gets brought up by me, and it almost always starts an argument by me. We don't get invited out much anymore. But look, I know I'm not alone feeling this. Go on almost any forum and you'll see I'm not the only one going to bat for this movie to be rightfully placed in the Christmas category of movies. In fact, while you're there, you might see a lot of other holiday fan favorites getting dogged on and being told they can't sit at the cool kids' Christmas table. Movies like Gremlins, Batman Returns, The Nightmare Before Christmas? Yeah, okay, buddy, that one literally is Christmas in the title, but wait, whatever. And while it does feel like we're on the losing side of history with this one, even John McClane himself saying Die Hard isn't a Christmas movie.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie.
I'm here to set the record straight and maybe introduce the meaning of a Christmas movie to your cold, bah humbug ass heart. But to do this, we have to go over what defines a Christmas or holiday movie. We have to go over the rules. Obviously, there's some criteria here on what makes a movie a Christmas movie, but really settling on that in the beginning was tough. Thankfully, this article from Screen Rant gave a pretty good baseline for us to start with. Whether the film simply has a Christmas setting and none of the holiday spirit because it was released in summer, or because it's more of a Halloween film, these debates will cause riots during Christmas dinner. Okay, so initially not the most clear. I might have been a little too nice about that. We gotta clean it up and use some knowledge of what we already have about Christmas movies. So first things first, we're throwing out the released in summer statement. This is about Gremlins being a summer release and A Nightmare Before Christmas being a Halloween release. But if that was a real qualifier, then Sonic 3, Mufasa, and Nosferatu especially would all be Christmas movies. And I think we can move on. The rest of the statement though is great for guidelines. I think a Christmas setting is pretty important. It really helps set the mood for the festiveness of the holiday. But what is the bare minimum here? How low is the bar? Holiday spirit is super important here too. Christmas movies always have strong overarching themes of family, redemption, tradition. It's all about someone naughty getting on the nice list. Except for when it's not, but we'll talk about that later. And then finally the part about Halloween. I know, kind of weird. Obviously another ridiculous jab at The Nightmare Before Christmas, and I'll clear this one up later too. But I think it brings up a super important point. Maybe the most important one actually, and that is the importance of the holiday. Does Christmas have a starring role, or does it even need to be there? Now that these concepts have been introduced, we can really get into the guts of some questionable holiday movies and maybe finally set the record straight. Or not, I'm sure you'll tell me. Location is everything in a movie. It's the first thing you see that really sets the tone for how the brain feels. When I say Christmas setting, what do you think of? The North Pole and Santa's workshop? A snowy New York City? Maybe more of a Hallmark small town vibe. Personally, I like to think of Gotham City in the Batman Returns. I know, I'm a fucking loser. There's just something about how Gotham Square always looks covered in snow with the tree up, all the shop decor, everyone's just dressed for the winter vibe. It's nice. It really hits all the check marks for a Christmas setting, almost a textbook definition. Maybe it's the contrast between the whimsical setting versus the brooding hero and the insanely gross villains that makes this movie stand out for me for Christmas. I don't know, but it's really become a must-see for me for the holidays. You know what doesn't feel very Christmas in its setting though? But these streaming sites are always trying to cram it down our throats as soon as December hits. Harry Potter. I rewatched the first one because it was on this top 10 hotly debated movie list, and I can very much see why. This movie takes place over an entire school year, so while Christmas does make an appearance, it's a pretty small time frame. In fact, I did the math, and winter is a whopping 13 minutes of this 2.5-hour movie. About. What's crazier is maybe 2 to 3 minutes is actually Christmas. I'm actually blown away that this even comes up in the discussion at all, honestly. Oh, but people want to piss and moan about Die Hard? Yeah, okay. So here's a question. What do you do when it doesn't snow and it's 90 fucking degrees out daily? I'll tell you, you stay the fuck inside. As a native from Florida, it may not be my place to speak for all of the Southern Hemisphere, but you can still do Christmas with a nice cozy indoor vibe. You get your Christmas tree all decorated, maybe a real fake fire going in the fireplace, friends and family gathered together with food and drinks. It works just as good, because after all, the holidays can be just as inside as they are outside.
Wow, incredible.
Anyway, since you brought it up, it is time to talk about Die Hard and its setting. So the movie takes place in a very not snowy Los Angeles, California. Immediately doesn't hit the winter vibe, I know, but as we know, snow is wildly unnecessary for a Christmas feel. Does it help? Sure, yeah, I can't argue with that, but we don't need it. Just because it doesn't snow here doesn't mean that the location can't feel festive. And this is exactly what the movie manages to tackle by taking place at a bougie Christmas party in the Nakatomi building. This party has everything you need for that cozy, intimate feel. You got your big Christmas tree, you got your warm lighting, we got happy faces, plenty of drinking, you got some people getting a little too cozy with each other, you got a few more people getting a little too cozy with the snow they brought from home, if you catch my drift. Ha! Ha! And even after the action starts, our hero John McClane makes sure to keep the festive decor going by painting the walls red, getting unwelcome guests festively dressed, and even hanging a few decorations of his own. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a pretty festive setting to me. Holiday themes! Okay, Christmas usually has a set of themes that set the tone for how we should be on the holiday. Themes revolving around family, togetherness, tradition, and being good to your fellow man. And Christmas movies aren't so different. In fact, in many cases, the movies are somewhat of a tool that reminds us by telling a story of a piece of shit, learning all these qualities, and finding redemption. You know, instead of just being an hour and a half of the holiday equivalent of background noise, which is a little ironic since these movies just end up on as background noise more often than not. Go figure. Kevin McAllister from Home Alone, a little shit who, rightfully in my opinion, hates his family and would rather be alone for Christmas. But by the end, he's realized that the holidays just aren't the same by yourself. And all he wants is his family back. Even if they all suck shit. And maybe these two goons dead, I don't know. Scrooge from A Christmas Carol, rich piece of shit who would rather be alone with his money on Christmas than with his fellow man. Animals, puppets, but learns that there's more to life than money, like actually not dying. Look, the list goes on, but these are the constant themes in Christmas movies. Sure, you may see tweaks and twists here, but that's because this shit gets tired. So tired. But I think people get themes and morals confused with genre a lot, and I don't blame them. For decades, textbook Christmas movies have been following the same formula. A lot of people think family tradition and redemption in a festive setting has to be this mushy, gushy, feel-good kind of thing, and that's just wrong, honestly. Real quick, let's look at Batman Returns again. A lot of people like to argue this movie is only Christmas in a superficial way, but that's not true. The themes are there, but in a very unconventional way. Christopher Walken's character, Max Shrek, not that Shrek, sounds like Super Saiyan 4 Shrek. He comes up with this dubious plan to get rid of the old Gotham mayor in favor for the supremely nasty Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, perfectly, honestly. To do this, Shrek takes advantage of the holiday and sets up a sort of redemption arc for the not well-liked Penguin, where he saves the mayor's baby and then tugs at the city's heartstrings by telling them the Penguin wants nothing more than to find his family and belong. Oh, I love him. I love this nasty man who smells like sewage. Ooh. Multiple themes of the holiday here being weaponized against the audience rather than spoon-fed as per usual. It's pretty genius, honestly. If I do say so, it's pretty smart. It's pretty fucking smart. Believe it or not, though, and I know most of you don't want to, Die Hard also has these themes, just not as galaxy-brained as Batman Returns. You see, our hero, John McClane, is in town for the holiday to spend time with his now somewhat estranged family. He's miserable because he hates flying, which he had to do to get there, but also things are not great with his wife. He's hoping to convince her to come back home to New York, but she's not having it because she is a career-driven woman. All this shows that John is in fact our selfish, shitty protagonist that we see time and time again in these movies. He's got lessons to learn. Throughout the action in the movie, John becomes more and more desperate to not only keep doing the right thing in saving the day, but more importantly, save his wife and ultimately his family. And when things look their bleakest for the hero, he finally accepts that he's been the shitty one in the relationship, and that if he fails, he wants nothing more than for his wife to know that he's sorry for for how awful he's been. Sounds like this dude gets it by the end of the movie to me. Sounds like redemption even. Look, if somehow you're still not convinced about Die Hard because it's too violent, you're gonna hate me bringing up movies like Fat Man and Violent Night. Do they get a pass because it's Santa committing the violence? Are we just gonna ignore the fact that Tim Allen just yellers Santa in the Santa Claus? I don't remember this movie. And don't even get me started on the holiday horror genre. I could have gone all day about 1974 and 2006's Black Christmas movies alone. We don't talk about 2019's. Or 2016's You Better Watch Out, which, without giving too much away, is literally what if Home Alone was just a fucked up horror movie? But I won't, because we have something more important to talk about right now. The importance. I think on the surface, the importance is pretty clear in meaning. Is the holiday front and center, helping to move the story along? Or is it just a passing thing that'll catch you off guard every time you put it on? There's a few movies that I'd say do this. Prometheus is a big one. I saw Nice Guys was on a Christmas list, and I genuinely don't remember it being Christmassy. Funny enough, the director of Nice Guys has written and or directed a bunch of other movies that take place around Christmas time, but don't necessarily feel like Christmas. Some of them more than others. Just the thing he does, I guess. I don't know. He comes up on the list a lot. He's also this guy in the first Predator movie, which I thought was cool. The main argument here, though, is Christmas needs to move the story. And if you could take Christmas out of the movie and it doesn't change anything, then it isn't a Christmas movie. And I guess that's fair to an extent. I guess that's kind of fair. But the mental gymnastics people go through to prove this for Die Hard and Gremlins, and even The Nightmare Before Christmas, is ridiculous. Essentially, gatekeepers are saying that you could take Christmas out of Die Hard and Gremlins and nothing changes. And that despite how Christmassy Nightmare is and how Jack wants to make Halloween Christmas, it's somehow not actually about Christmas. I like to think that the way that I frame that proves how fucking stupid that is, and we could just focus on Gremlins and Die Hard from here on out. Thank you. Okay, so the presentation here is that Die Hard could happen any other holiday, but I genuinely don't see how. Professor Snape literally states that the heist was purposely planned for Christmas for the lowered security and police activity. On top of that, the Christmas party would have all the big to-do people that they would need for negotiations and the robbery itself. John McClane being in town for the holiday is pretty Christmas dependent too. Outside of maybe birthdays or Thanksgiving, I genuinely don't see a good enough reason to fly cross country. You think this fucking guy's showing up for Flag Day? When's the last time you saw an Easter office party? And a July 4th robbery makes a lot less sense with how crowded the streets would be. The villain Hans is far too meticulous to not have everything planned perfectly. For some dweeb to just say, oh, well, July 4th would have been just as good. Man, shut up. Shut the fuck up, dude. I don't ever see anyone bring this up for Home Alone, one of the best Christmas movies of all time and a personal favorite of mine. But first off, the whole family is together to leave for France for Christmas? Who does that? The trip easily could have happened at any other time of the year, and it probably would have gone smoother too if we're being honest. They probably wouldn't have had to rush as much. The Wet Bandits heist plans? All built off the idea of people being gone for the holiday. Not unlike Hans taking advantage of the quieter setting. We're noticing. But Dumb and Dumber's plan could have easily worked out the same on a holiday like Thanksgiving or over spring or summer break, where people tend to travel a lot more, and sometimes for longer. Look, I already talked about it, but another movie that gets my blood boiling about how often it seems to be considered a Christmas movie is Harry Potter. But Christmas isn't exactly front and center in this movie either. The holiday is pretty much just a lame excuse to give Harry the invisible cloak, which would have been a pretty great fucking birthday present if you ask me. Which he then uses to steal a book over Christmas break, since a lot of the school would be gone for the holiday and security would be super low. And hey, wait a minute, I see what you're doing here. This is just fucking Die Hard. Okay, look, I'm gonna be honest. This argument is a lot harder to fight with Gremlins. In all honesty, Christmas isn't a huge aspect of the movie outside of the main girl having a psychotic episode about the holiday. Gizmo really could have just been a birthday gift, and the story would have still made a lot of sense. But would the movie be as good or better for it? No. No, 100% absolutely not. Maybe I'm just an uncreative cretin, but I literally cannot imagine a world where Gremlins 1 doesn't have a Christmas setting. Call me an edgy dweeb, but I really like the clashing themes in the movie. You have all the whimsy and magic of a small town all dressed up for what should have been a quiet, nice holiday. Just thrown into a fucking massacre of chaos and guts and critter body horror. Like, it's nuts. I genuinely can't believe this movie could work under any other setting, and I think Gremlins 2 proves it. But I think the same could be said for almost any movie that features the holiday in some way that's more than just being like, ha, I put up a Christmas tree, so now you, the viewer, know when this takes place. Look, there's plenty of Die Hard sequels, but the best one has always been the first, the Christmas one. And the same can be said for Home Alone and Batman Returns, and countless other movies, honestly. There's a certain charm that the holiday brings to these movies that makes them stand out in a way that I don't think we appreciate as much as we should. I think the holiday has truly helped these movies stand the test of time and stand out from the crowd in the genre, which is why they should be allowed to sit at the Christmas movie table. Conclusion. I'm gonna conclude. If you're still hanging out with me after all of that, I appreciate you hearing me out. I really do. I like to think that maybe I made you a little more open-minded about Die Hard being a Christmas movie. But look, I'm gonna be honest. The point I've really been trying to prove here isn't that Die Hard is explicitly a Christmas movie, but instead I'm trying to show you that a lot of these other iconic holiday movies also don't have to be 100% explicitly Christmas movies either. Some of them, I feel, aren't. I think we play a bigger role in what makes a movie a Christmas must-watch. After all, we do control what we put on. It tends to be important for us to put movies on that make the room feel more festive. And these movies often bring us together, whether it's to sit down and enjoy or to sit there and argue and try to prove your point about whether or not it's Christmassy enough, hopefully in a civil way. And if you're celebrating the holiday, then the holiday can't be taken out. Like the fake movie in Home Alone, the movies you put on have become ingrained in your holiday story. So maybe Christmas movies aren't what we're told, and instead the Christmas movies were the ones we watched along the way. I don't know. One thing's for sure though, Adam Sandler's 8 Crazy Nights is definitely a Hanukkah movie. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, you filthy animals. I'll see you in the new year. God bless. Bye.